was unbearable. Desperation led the villagers to seek help from distant lands. They traveled far to consult a seer, hoping for a solution. The seer listened to their plight and then, with a mysterious smile, told them, "The solution lies within your own hearts. Go home and solve the problems you created." Confused and frustrated, the villagers returned no closer to an answer. One night, Ijeoma, a young woman from the village, had a vivid dream. Ebele and Amara appeared to her, their voices gentle yet firm. The only way to end this suffering is to abolish the practices of abandoning or killing twin babies. The next morning, Ijeoma rushed to the palace to share her dream with the elders. "It's just a dream," Obinna scoffed. "We cannot change our ways based on the version of an ordinary woman." Weeks passed. The village situation worsened. Sickness spread and the death toll rose. The villagers, now desperate and hopeless, called Ijeoma back. "Tell us more about your dream," they pleaded. Ijeoma, though hesitant, recounted her vision. The twins said, "We must abolish the practices of abandoning or killing twins." The elders, finally seeing reason, decided to take Ijeoma's vision seriously. They called a meeting, inviting the entire village to discuss the proposed change. The air was tense, filled with a mix of fear and hope. Obinna stood before the crowd. "We must consider the possibility that our traditions are wrong. It is time to change for the sake of our survival." The decision to change was monumental for the villagers. Obinna, standing before the villagers, felt the weight of centuries of tradition bearing down on him. His voice, usually steady and commanding, now wavered with the uncertainty that gripped the community. "We must consider the possibilities that our traditions are wrong. It is time to change for the sake of our survival." The villagers, seated in a large circle around a central fire, whispered among themselves. The glow of the flames flicked on their anxious faces. Some nodded in agreement, their eyes reflecting hope, while others frowned, their brows furrowed with skepticism. "Ijeoma," Obinna called, turning to the young woman who had the vision, "tell us again what you saw." Ijeoma stood, her hands trembling slightly as she addressed the gathering. "In my dream, the twins, Ebele and Amara, appeared to me. They said that we must stop the practice of abandoning or killing twin babies. Only then will the gods lift this curse from our village." A murmur of mixed reactions swept through the crowd. Some were ready to embrace the change, while others clung to their fear of divine retributions. "But what if the gods punish us further for defiling our traditions?" an elder named Eze asked, his voice tinged with fear. Obinna took a deep breath, steadying himself. "We have been faithful to our traditions, yet we are suffering. Perhaps it is time to listen to a new message from the gods." Eze nodded slowly, his resistance softening. The villagers' faces reflected a spectrum of emotions, from fear to hope, but the consensus was clear. They had to change. Obinna raised his hands, calling for silence. "From this day forward, we will no longer abandon or kill twin babies. We will protect and cherish them as we do all our children." The decision was met with mixed emotions. Some villagers cheered, while others remained silent, their hearts heavy with uncertainty. But the decision was made, and hope began to flicker in their hearts like the flames of the central fire. In the midst of the village turmoil, a new development unfolded that would further complicate their lives. Prince Nnamdi, the only son of King Amaechi, had been known for his flirtations with the village maidens, yet he had refused to marry any of them, much to the frustration of the villagers and his father. One evening, as the village gathered around the central fire to discuss their future, Prince Nnamdi arrived with an air of determination. His eyes scanned the crowd until they landed on Amara, one of the twins. He had been captivated by her beauty and strength since the day he first saw her. With a confident stride, he approached her, ignoring the curious and disapproving stares from the villagers. "Amara," he declared, his voice loud and clear, "I have fallen in love with you. I wish to marry you." A gasp rippled through the crowd. Adanna, standing nearby, placed a protective hand on Amara's shoulder. "Prince Nnamdi, you must understand the situation. The prince are under the protection of Kalu, the four-headed serpent." Nnamdi's eyes flashed with defiance. "I do not fear Kalu. I will marry Amara, and no serpent can dictate to me what I can or cannot do in my own kingdom." Ebele, sensing the rising tension, stepped forward. "If you truly love my sister, Prince Nnamdi, you must also accept me as your wife. We are twins and our bond cannot be broken." The prince hesitated, his gaze shifting between the two sisters. His desire for Amara was strong, but he had not anticipated this condition. "I will marry you both," he finally declared, his voice firm. The villagers, now in uproar, began to whisper and shout. Some supported the prince, seeing his defiance as a sign of strength, while others feared the wrath of Kalu. The elders, including Obinna, exchanged worried glances. The situation had become even more precarious. Word of Prince Nnamdi's declaration quickly reached Kalu, who sits with jealousy and anger. The serpent had grown to love the twins as his own daughters, and the thought of losing them to the prince was unbearable. That night, as the moon hung high in the sky, Kalu slithered into the village, his forehead swinging menacingly. The villagers, seeing him approach, backed away in fear, their hearts pounding with dread. "Kalu," Obinna called out, stepped forward with a shaky voice. "We have honored your protection of the twins. Please let us find a way to resolve this peacefully." Kalu's eyes glowed with fury. "The prince has no right to claim what belongs to me," he hissed. "If anyone dares to provoke me or speak against me, they will face my wrath." The villagers recalled, terror gripping their hearts. Kalu's presence was a constant reminder of the delicate balance they were trying to maintain. But now, with the prince's bold declaration, that balance was tittering dangerously. Despite the villagers' pleas and Kalu's threat, Prince Nnamdi remained resolute. He stood before gathered villagers, his chin held high. "I will not be intimidated by a serpent," he declared. "This is my kingdom, and soon I will be the king. I will marry Amara and Ebele, and I will protect them from any harm." The villagers turned between fear and admiration, watched as the prince turned and walked away, his confidence unshaken. But deep down, many of them feared the consequences of his defiance. Kalu's rage knew no bounds. In the days that followed, he began to strike at anyone who dared to provoke him or speak against him. His bites caused severe illness, madness, and even death. Panic spread through the village like wildfire, and the once peaceful community descended into chaos. One evening, as the sun set over the village, Kalu beat Princess Ada, the only daughter of King Amechi. She felt gravely ill, her body wrecked with fever and convulsions. The king, desperate and heartbroken, called for village's best healers, but none could cure her. The village, already suffering from famine and diseases, now faced a new and terrifying threat. Fear and desperation gripped the hearts of the villagers as they searched for solution. In the midst of this turmoil, a young maiden named Chidinma went to fetch water from the river. As she knelt by the water's edge, she saw a vision of the river goddess, a magnificent being with 4 heads. Much like Kalu, the goddess spoke to her in a voice that echoed through the forest.
Okay, guys, yes, we are bringing the second version of this interesting story. Please subscribe to our channel. If you like what we are doing here, share it and let's hear your thoughts about this particular story. So watch out for part 2 soon.